Any step towards peace is a positive progress step. We in the Kingdom have always called for laying a clear and irreversible path towards more peace, more stability, and ultimately prosperity. And it's imperative, it's clear that the Middle East and stability in the Middle East will be imperative for global growth, and that's why we're here to discuss, and global prosperity.
Yeah. How is Saudi Arabia viewing the return of the Trump administration? And Trump has talked about energy declarations and perhaps broad-based tariffs. How do you view his return?
Well, the Kingdom and the U.S. have a long-standing, strong relationship that spanned 8 decades. It's been strong regardless of which administration was in office. We look forward to working with the second Trump administration, as we have with previous administration, on important work, including addressing some of the challenges the global economy is looking at, such as tepid growth.
There's been talk about whether Saudi Arabia is actually going to join the BRICS unit, and so far nothing has been done on that front. So why the delay?
So it's important to keep in mind the Kingdom is always focusing on fostering more global dialogue. We've been invited to the BRICS, similar to how we've been invited to many other multilateral platforms in the past. Historically, we assess many aspects of it before a decision is made.
Yeah.
And right now we're in the middle of that.
Looking ahead, the Saudi economy, obviously there's been a massive diversification push. And whenever I speak to you and your colleagues, we talk about the non-oil sector. Specifically, which of the sectors do you think are going to be driving Saudi growth in the years to come?
So Vision 2030, which is our program to basically long-term restructure our economy, is on track and moving with a lot of momentum. One of our focus areas is building more human capital potential and having human-centric, human-led growth. The other is diversifying the economy. If you look closely to our economy, you'll see that the non-oil economy is growing. More sources of growth are being added, where it's coming from tourism, culture, entertainment, sports, but also more long lead sectors such as mining, industry, what we call industry plus, shipbuilding, auto manufacturing. All of these are proving the power of diversification. Our numbers in the last quarter and the quarter before wouldn't have been this strong if it wasn't for the political will and decision and the work put in to start sectors or reinvigorate old sectors.
Yeah, do you think the international community and international investment community actually see what's going on there and are encouraged? Because we still speak to many people who come to the Kingdom for fundraising as opposed to actually deploying and mobilizing capital into Saudi Arabia.
So the Kingdom is a global investment powerhouse, but we're seeing a shift. People are looking for smart capital coming from Saudi, given we have a strong sovereign wealth fund. But our sovereign wealth fund is also investing locally to start new sectors, and that's attracting a lot of investors. A lot of investors are putting in more effort, time, and energy into the Kingdom, and they're inspired by what they're seeing, especially the youth, young professionals in Saudi.
And yet, there's still some major mega projects, projects like NEOM, that are demanding a lot of investment from the Saudi side. But at the same time, you and I have spoken about this. There has been a reprioritization of spending to account for the funding needs of some of these mega projects. Can we continue to expect to see Saudi Arabia issue more and more and borrow more on debt markets in the years to come?
So 2 things, Joanna. First of all, the Kingdom is committed to long-term planning. We shifted from short-term to medium-term fiscal frameworks to long-term planning for the first time in a long time. At the same time, there's agility in the decision-making. Since we started the vision, we had ambitions for certain sectors. These sectors overachieved their ambition. Tourism achieved their 100 million visitor number 7 years early, and now that number is increased to 150. At the same time, there's things that we didn't plan that we have succeeded in, such as hosting the World twice in 4 years, with Expo in 2030 and the World Cup in 2034. So a natural reprioritization towards better economic outcomes without jeopardizing our Vision 2030 robustness as a plan is important. And of course, with this comes a clear and communicated financing and funding plan that includes engaging properly and in a healthy manner with the global debt markets.
Do you worry about the balance sheet deterioration, though? The more debt that Saudi Arabia is taking on, both at its state and off balance sheets borrowing as well?
So our financial management and financial and fiscal planning is improving as we go. Today we have a clear plan moving forward and a clear debt program that's always revisited. The essence of Vision 2030 is planning with confidence, delivering with optimism, but more importantly, managing with prudence. And it's an ongoing process.
One other thing I just want to ask you about as well. The state have been pretty articulate about their desire to gradually reduce their stake in Aramco. What are the criteria you looking at in order for these sell-offs to go ahead? And how frequently can we expect the share sales to happen?
What I can tell you is the priority of the Kingdom under Vision 2030 is diversifying our economy, and that means the optimal utilization of all of our assets and capabilities. I don't know of any immediate plans to continue the IPO program, but that's something left to the shareholders that will communicate in due course if there's anything.